40% of them are immigrants who came to this country. So again, this is our superpower. And I'm very glad that Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy recognize it. I very much hope that they are able to influence Donald.
It's important to understand that Vivek Ramaswamy isn't a STEM guy. Vivek Ramaswamy is a worthless sack of shit. Vivek Ramaswamy is a hedge funder. You know how he got rich? I want to explain to you how Vivek Ramaswamy got rich. Basically, a drug for Alzheimer's failed clinical testing. And so Vivek Ramaswamy started a company and he bought the patent to the drug, the worthless drug. And then he used some marketing manipulation and he did an IPO with his mom as the major shareholders and launched pretending there was some more promising, clinical trial that on the drug that was showing effectiveness. And then him and his mom sold $2 billion of stock into the IPO. And then the study came out and it proved, the drug doesn't actually work. He literally did a massive rug pull fraudulent scam pharmaceutical company to make billions. And his mom did the stats on the drug. Yeah, that is unbelievable.
On this particular issue, but I'm doubtful about it because just as you mentioned, in his first term, Trump was actually quite hostile to legal immigrants, in particular, by the way, high-skilled legal immigrants. He made it really hard for them to come here, not just those who wanted work authorization, international students who cross-subsidize American students.
Oh, MAGA's starting to bring out the receipts.
Summa cum laude graduate, congratulations.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Okay, tell me why Glaxo kind of wrote this drug off, and yet you have such great hopes for it.
So I obviously can't speak for other companies other than Axovan, right. But what I can tell you is that RVT-101 is a unique drug that we actually think could help millions of patients with Alzheimer's disease. Our focus is actually on the treatment of Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and other forms of dementia. We've actually put together what I view as a top-notch team in the industry, involving the developer of the most widely used drug to treat Alzheimer's disease, who actually led our due diligence on this asset, and actually will lead our development program going forward. And actually on our board of directors is the former head of neurosciences from GSK that actually led the development of this drug, who sits on our board right now, and all of those individuals are every bit as excited as we are about the development.
Well, then walk us through what we've seen so far, because we know, as I said, there's a bunch of companies that have gone in phase 2, and we get so excited, but then it doesn't work out in phase 3. Why do you think you're ahead of those other companies that have never been able to bring that to market?
That's a great question. And the thing in Alzheimer's disease to remember, and we remember this all the time at Axovan, is we don't fully understand the way the actual underlying disease works, not just us at Axovan, but the field more generally. But the thing with RVT-101 is it's actually a neurotransmitter targeted therapy that actually in part works through the release of acetylcholine, which is already known to be an effective mechanism of action, because that's actually very similar to how the currently approved drugs work. And so the way the drug works is been demonstrated in clinical trials. In a large phase 2 study, phase 2B study with 684 patients, multinational, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. And this is the key on the pre-specified analysis, not some type of reanalysis or subgroup analysis, but on the pre-specified analysis, the drug actually demonstrated statistically significant improvements in both cognition and in function out to 24 weeks in a way that was maintained out to a full year in time. So that's actually what we think makes this such an exciting...
By the way, everything he's saying is total bunkum.
...opportunity. In addition to its safety and tolerability profile, it's a really well-tolerated drug. And you take it as one pill once a day. And we think that we're very excited about its development going forward.
Okay, well, let's look at it. We have to be skeptical. You were a former hedge fund manager. I would always be nervous when I would see a stock that would be as hot as this one. I don't believe you have anything else right now in the pipeline. If you were a hedge fund manager when you got in shares in this stock and you just had seen Axovan and said, would you have rung the register today?
So, I can't comment exactly on my investor seat, because right now I'm actually thinking about this as the person who's developing this company.
I'm not really trying to put you on the spot, but I tell you, if I were a hedge fund manager, I got it. I would have said, geez, that was a home run.
So let me actually speak directly to it then. I actually think the potential opportunity here is really tremendous for delivering value to patients. There's over 5 million patients who suffer from Alzheimer's disease in this country alone. And if you think about it, we own global rights to a drug that has already demonstrated in a large phase 2b study efficacy on the two parameters that the FDA has historically required for new Alzheimer's disease drugs. And actually, we believe we're only one additional phase 3 study away from the approval of this drug on a global basis.
And how long do you think, what has been the course that the FDA wants for phase 3? 6 months, a year, 2 years? What have you seen? Because, it takes a long time.
Yes, so historically, actually all of the currently approved drugs for Alzheimer's disease were generally approved on the basis of 24 to 28 week data. And that's what we think is going to be the consistent requirement going forward as well. So our planned phase 3 trial, which we intend to start later this year, in the fourth quarter of this year, is...
Mike, do you want to learn a Tamil word you could call Vivek? No, I can't. F. Patel carrying all of that for us right now.
Going to be a study that's approximately 6 months in duration. And based on the phase 2b data, which was already, as I mentioned, showed efficacy on cognition and on function, we think could have a meaningful opportunity in the phase 3 study.
So in other words, Vivek took this drug that was proven not to work, was dropped by GlaxoSmithKline. He bought it for pennies on the dollar. GlaxoSmithKline had sold the rights to Exovant for only $5 million, a very small amount in the pharmaceutical industry because 4 clinical trials had resulted in failure. Interpyridine was Axovant's only product. Although no clinical development took place, Axovant held its IPO in June 2015 and raised $350 million, the largest biotech IPO ever. What? They're not doing any drug treatment or clinical anything. They bought a drug for $5 million. They did a bunch of marketing to the stock market, and dumb fucks on CNBC got $315 million from the IPO, and he pocketed it based on new phase 2b trials that were more promising. The lockup period against reselling stock was reduced to an unusually short 90-day for hedge funds that showed interest in the IPO. In other words, you let hedge funds come in and pump the stock and then flip it. In July 2017, Axovant announced that the results of the phase 3 trial indicated that the drug was not effective for treatment for Alzheimer's disease. Axovant stock lost 75% of its value in a single day. It has been accused of being a pump and dump scheme. This is who MAGA likes. They're like, wow, we want to make sure Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the biggest scam artists in fucking stock market history, is the face of our movement. And conservatives like this guy. They like the fact that he scammed people off of false hopes of helping Alzheimer's patients. They like the fact that he tricked everybody for his own profit. They love that he's rich. What did he get paid for? What did Vivek Ramaswamy get paid for? For stealing money, for lying. He should be in prison right now. You know what happened to his company? They just renamed it because it was so fucking embarrassing to be Axovant. They renamed it as CO Gene Therapies. On April 5th, 2023, the shareholders of CO Gene Therapies voted to liquidate and dissolve the company. This is the fucking guy. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy in 2015, scamming the public on its Alzheimer's drug that had already failed drug trials 4 times before he bought it for pennies. He rebranded it and took the company public in an IPO. Then him and his family dumped $2 billion of stock before it failed again. People change and grow. He stole $2 billion, you dumb piece of shit. Did he give it back? Did he give it back, you worthless sack of shit? That he didn't grow, you dumb asshole?